class. This is week 2. We're going to be looking at JavaScript this week, and also we're going to recap what we did last week. Something that's really important that I keep getting told to do is remind you guys how far you've come, and all the little things that you guys had to put together. It's easy to forget all these different things that could go wrong, and all these different things that we need to do. Come on. Okay, so typically after a sprint, actually hold on, let me ask questions instead. Remember what we did last week, guys, right? We talked about sprints, we talked about agile development, we talked about product owners, project managers, devs, and teamwork. This involved a lot of technical skills such as Git, using GitHub, commenting, a little bit of Markdown. We threw into Markdown, right? So that we could comment and communicate with our teammates better. Another part of the process is called a delivery meeting. This is a chance for the team to look back and talk and to communicate and to figure out what we did wrong, what we did good, what we could have done better. You guys also saw this last week, right? Last week whenever we had our one-on-one meetings, this is kind of like that spirit, that same type of mentality. And this is something that a lot of software companies like doing. Some people might call it a sprint retrospective. This is where you guys, as a teammate, right, for your company, you guys want to make adjustments. You say I really wish we weren't messaging on Skype. We should have all just been messaging on Messenger this weekend. I don't have Skype on my phone. You guys can't get in touch with me on my on the weekend if you're talking on Skype. Message on Messenger, stuff like that. You guys are open to Every team is different. People want to use different tools to communicate, right? So this is an opportunity for you guys to make suggestions on what you would have done better to get the software done better, faster, cheaper. So this form right now is unupdated, but you guys can still fill it out, please. I'm going to send this in our chat, our Discord right here. Could you guys all take a couple minutes to fill this out? And I just named, I guess you guys can name it what you guys call it, HubSpot Landing Imagine. That's cool too. Yeah. And these are the type of questions that you guys are going to need to ask, or you're going to be asked right here whenever you guys work somewhere. So there's this is a diagram of some of the types of people you guys might run into in a company. There's all different types of people. You got to get along with them all, right? There's the brilliant jerk, someone who needs to move on to bigger and better things. They're not going to be at the company long because they just can't seem to get along with someone. There's a rock star, the person that just listens and says okay to everything and just delivers. And you guys all want to be the rock star, but it's really hard to be this guy. This guy it takes a lot of training to get to this point, where someone just gives you a list of to-dos and then you just do them. You say, hey, give me a week, and it works. But you guys are making progress. You guys definitely don't want to be this guy, the wonder. Okay, why is this guy still here? Are they friends with the CEO or something like that? You guys want to be able to do a good job, so let's not be this guy. Oh, yeah. Huh. I don't know. Yeah. But in any case, this is just having fun. We guys want to have a little bit of fun. Just lastly, there's also someone who's a team player. People who communicate well, objectives, and helps make sure everyone's to meetings on time, and certain people are up to date, even though they might have been late or their baby might have been sick or whatever. There's a bunch of people that you need in an organization other than the developer. Okay, so now we're going to get into real programming. What we've been doing so far is just kind of play programming. We've had programming with training wheels. Okay, we're just saying put this here, put that there, make it look this way. We're going to do functional programming now. And although right now you guys may not be able to recognize what I'm saying, just know that HTML is structure, CSS is style, and JavaScript is behavior. How can I get the screen to look a certain way or do a certain thing? JavaScript is the world's most popular programming language. It runs on everything. It can run an API. It can run JavaScript is used to run Photoshop. Okay, Photoshop, when it runs on your computer, if those of you use it or use any of the Adobe suite, it uses JavaScript. You guys might want to demo this. This is also written in JavaScript. Okay. So you play a game. It's Pac-Man on the internet. How do I play this? It's all written in JavaScript, guys. And actually, some of you guys are going to be able to build something very similar to this in one of our classes, okay? We have a class where we're going to build a game, and we're going to use the same tool that this is built with. It's called Canvas, HTML Canvas. And we have to know how to write JavaScript to do it. So in this week, we're going to learn how JavaScript can behave with our browser, okay? That's simple. We're going to do the simple, shitty way. That way, next week you guys can understand what React is used for. That's what's hot right now. This is next week, okay? But we got to do it the hard way before we appreciate what React does and do more complicated stuff. We also need to get a basic introduction into JavaScript. So this week's actually going to be pretty tough. I think, this week's going to be pretty tough. So you're going to have to work hard. So just know that typically, it just depends on what type of project you guys are working on. But right now, for our class, we're just focusing on web, okay? But typically, it's broken down in two different ways when we're talking about web. Is the back end and the front end. If you guys want to start building robots, stuff like that, embedded systems, obviously it gets more complicated, right? But for us, we're going to have two different types of developers, back end and front end. And you can think of it as kind of like a restaurant in which when you go to a restaurant, there's a lot of people serving you, but you may not necessarily see certain people. If someone's a chef, they're in the back kitchen, you never talk to them, but you do see the result of their work, right? The front end being the waitresses and the back end being the chefs, they work together to provide you a meal. And that's what we need to do by the end of this class. So we're going to be focusing on the front end for the first half of the class. Okay, here's a nice funny photo. Get us thinking. What is programming? It's not smashing our keys, guys. It's thinking and researching. Okay, so now it comes time for our group discussion we're going to watch this video first, and then we're going to have an example. We're going to discuss what programming is.
We're here at Creator, a new BurgerBot restaurant with the founder, Alex, who invented this crazy machine we're standing in front of. Maybe you could tell us, how did you get into the idea of building a BurgerBot?
So I grew up flipping burgers, and parents got a restaurant. I've made maybe tens of thousands of burgers in my life, and when your job is to make something like 400 of the same burger every single day, you realize that there are a lot of opportunities to make it just a little bit better, except didn't have the means. So I thought, okay, if better kitchen tools help me make a much better product, why not just take that to infinity? And this is kind of like the ultimate kitchen instrument. We dispense sauce down to the milliliter. We dispense seasoning down to gram. There's 11 sensors to watch the temperature of the beef and some AI to make sure we lock in the doneness. When we grind the meat, we literally align the meat and the patty to go along with your bite kind of vertically as your incisors come through, so you get a lot of advantage on the texture side of things.
So the burgers are tasty, and I'm absolutely surprised that they only cost $6. But my question is, what is this going to do for the future of work and all the people that already work in these kind of restaurants?
So, I grew up making burgers, and that type of job is really close to my heart. And so I thought, okay, if I'm in a position where my job is to do something repetitive all day, how can I make a place of work where I can move from that into doing something that's either more creative or social? And so this place has a decent sized staff, actually, that we're paying everyone $16 an hour. On top of that, we're able to give people a 5% time, meaning 5% of the time on the clock they're spending that reading a book or doing something that's going to benefit them in the long run, as opposed to what I was doing growing up, just doing this over and over all day. And so I think what we're going to see is an enhancement in terms of our collective skill set, moving into things that are just generally more fulfilling.
So if you want to go try this new burger, come out to 680 Folsom in San Francisco, and hopefully we're going to see more of these creator restaurants, even kiosk forums, or the full-size version like this around the country soon.
So I hope everyone here has had a hamburger before in their life, right? Can someone help me describe what a hamburger is? What are we looking at here, guys?
Hamburger.
Describe them in more detail. I need you guys to be.
Bun and the meat.
Can you give me more detail?
So we have bun, like bread, and then we have some vegetable, and then the meat and cheese.
Mm-hmm. It can get really detailed, really, really detailed. It's cooked to like 300 degrees over 15 minutes, you know, till it's charred on the outside. The meat has to be in between the buns. The buns have to be faced a certain way. The cheese needs to be inside the buns as well, right? It should be centered. The meat should be centered on the bread. There's a lot of different steps that go into making a hamburger. And the thing about it is that they're all the same. I don't care if you're making a burger here in Vietnam or in America. The bread should always be on the outside of the bun. You never want to put the meat on the bottom and the bread on top. That's not how a hamburger is made. So, in this video, the guy demonstrated that you can build something that will just do these repetitive tasks over and over again, because they're so similar and they don't change, right? There's other things that do that. Robotics for building cars. These types of machines do that as well, except they're much more expensive than a burger machine because they make a lot more money. But the objective of thinking of this thought experiment is that programming is not only inside of writing code. There's programming in all walks of life, where there's the same thing that's being done over and over, and we just need to define a way. We need to figure out how to define this way that this happens, so that a machine can understand. Because your computer is also just a machine, except it's a different kind of machine. Okay, we're working with machines here, just like this big ass thing right here that turns buns and shit like that. Okay, so the first lesson we're gonna talk about is variables. Does anyone here know what a variable is? Anyone?
Yeah, I know for math.
Yeah? Well, what's a variable in math?
It doesn't stay constant.
Okay. A variable is something that, I like to think of a variable as something that can contain data. It just holds some data for a little bit. And that's actually what a lot of people ask us. Actually, before we dive deep down into the lesson, I want to actually review your guys' work. I want to say good job. I'm really impressed. You guys put your heads together on this. We're going to talk with, which team is this right here? This is a get remote -3. Okay, the HubSpot, Team Red, okay? Good job. You guys can see right here that they deployed their application to production. For Team Blue, you guys can check this all out right here, okay? I want you guys to one day be able to do this, you know? Some of us here are foreigners. I want you guys to send this to your boss before you even get into the country. Say, check out my website. I built it. And you can see that our red team did this, right? They have a website that's in production, and it's beautiful. They just looked at it, copied it. They collected the images. It's okay to take time and just manually download a bunch of images. the exact image so that it looks good, especially if it's for a demonstration website. This is not meant to be used or do anything fancy. This is just a demo that, hey, I know what Bootstrap is. I can take all these blocks and put them all together, right? Yeah, I'm impressed. This is dope. And I think they didn't spend an amazingly large amount of time thinking about mobile, right? But the thing is it still looks good. And that's with the help of Bootstrap. Give it, provided some more time and a little bit more experience, they could easily have optimized this for mobile. And I'm just giving you guys some things to think about, because I remember last year, whenever I was working in Malaysia, that happened a lot. My boss loved looking at analytics, right? This tool right here. This guy loved looking at analytics. He's like, Lloyd, I keep seeing 60% of our users are coming from Facebook. Everyone's on their phones. We need to make it mobile. I was like, I agree. Yeah. You know what I told him? It's gonna take time. Okay? There's 4 engineers here. I'm doing back end. I'm doing front end. We need more people, man. We need more boots on the ground. So it's okay to not have it perfect. That would, getting it working first is okay, and then telling someone objectively, look, you want something. 10 people can't do 10 people's worth of work. So it's okay to say things that make people unhappy. That's gonna be a reasonable thing you guys are gonna do one day. But that being said, the reason why I'm just demonstrating this is just know that this is going to happen. I'm pretty sure that if you guys become a front end developer, someone's gonna say, hey, have you looked at your website on mobile? I don't know what to tell you. Do you guys can you guys share? I'm sorry, I've been lecturing. Can you guys share some of the things that you guys had fun doing? Anything you guys learned? Let's look at the code, okay? Come on, guys, help me out. Tell me what I'm looking at. Tell me. We have a bunch of nice Bootstrap classes. Nice. Okay, we can look at the CSS. And we can see that. Oh, man. I think I did something wrong. We have a merge conflict. It's because I just pulled. I can fix this, but I'm not going to right now. This might take a while. I don't want you guys to just see me poking around here. But you guys notice that there's actually very little CSS, right? I'm seeing very little CSS. We got like 100 lines. I bet most of these are spaces, less than 100 lines. Some comments. Obviously, these lines right here with the get merge thing. Very little CSS. Why? How? How'd you guys do it? Did you guys do magic? Who here is Harry Potter? Harry Potter. No one here is Harry Potter.
We have a 600 something.
What?
On the CS.
I didn't think about this. Get log dash v. July 22nd at 9:50.
The main CS file is CSS dash p. Not the main.
Yes, that's
The second folder, CSS p.
This one?
Yeah, yes, that's the main.
Okay, my bad. I take it all back. They had to work. I'm sorry. I thought it was an accident. I guess they actually had to put their thinking hat on. This is good. I want you guys to see that, this isn't anything you guys can't do, man. You guys had a week of training. You guys made a professional website, man. Obviously it was only one page, but this is looking professional. I would pay someone money for this. I would have paid you guys money for this. Yeah. This is dope. So, I can see some advanced CSS right here. I don't know what's going on here. What's up with this content? But this right here, what's the selector right here? I didn't know what this does, so tell me.
Is that after something has been clicked? Oh, it should change.
I think so. Let's hover. I'm not exactly sure, man. I was hoping you guys would help me out. Damn. That's okay if you guys don't remember. I want you guys to tell you. I want you guys to understand what the reality is. The reality is a lot of times you guys are gonna write code. You're gonna copy and paste code and not be sure what it does. That's the truth, man. That's gonna keep happening for a really, really long time, I would say. I'm actually pretty sure it's gonna happen for like the rest of your life. Now that I think about it, because there's always really talented people out there writing little tutorials, just telling you what to do. So I know you guys researched and look at other websites to figure out how to do this, and I'm happy, you guys will learn as you go. Let's just make it work at first. Okay, you guys haven't really said much, so I guess I'm gonna move on. Okay, nothing really special. You guys want to say anything about your project, man? No? No? Okay, let's get Team Blue. Are you guys in production yet? I want to see you guys in production. Is that why you clicking frantically over there, Quinn? I don't have do you have a link? Have you uploaded to Netlify? Like I said. Okay, nice. You guys can change the name of this, okay? In the future, just check your options on Netlify. There's a place where you're allowed to put in a custom name. And then there's another place where you guys can go to, there's another tool that Netlify will provide you if you can say so that you can change the URL, right? If you didn't use a tool like Netlify, you would have to know something called the DNS, the domain name system. You don't have to know everything about it, but you guys are gonna have to know this in order to show your own website, like www.sean.com, for example. Okay, let's check out what this team's got put together. Okay, what are we looking at here, guys? Say again? Nice. Nice. I completely forgot to show this team's right here. Team Red, I think it is. Dope. So you guys can customize this, man. All these things are built in. These things are so common, you guys can customize them. Okay, so we got a hero image. We got some drop downs, a search bar. Nice. I like the spacing. Good spacing here. This thing was put correctly. This button and this hero text relative to the image. Sometimes you guys can switch it based on the image. All you gotta do is write a little bit of code, right? You could potentially change one line of code and get all of this right here over here, right? Good images. We got ourselves a carousel. Damn, it works. Dope. Amazing.
I was trying to figure out yesterday when I was here how to put cards within the carousel, so it looked like different product options and you can kind of scroll through them, but I did not figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
I was getting there.
It's okay, we're gonna figure out how to do that in a couple weeks. We're gonna do something very similar. And also a sexy footer. This is also dope too, man. You guys also did a really good job. I'm really impressed. You guys will find actually one of the most difficult things about building a beautiful UI is like trying to do a lot, having a few things do a lot. Having a few things do a lot. That's actually quite hard because it's very easy to put too many links on your website. If you put too many links, too many different sections, too many images, it looks like shit. There has to be a reasonable amount of spacing for things to be easy to use, and there's gonna be like a hard balance. Because sometimes, man, if you guys put too many links, it's very difficult to use, right? Just look at Craigslist. Huh?
There's a lot of stuff there.
Say again?
There's a lot of information, but like words on the buttons.
Craigslist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like marketplace.
Yeah, it's super hard to read, hard to use. This website's built like 20 years ago, Obviously, it's useful, kind of useful, Like, I don't hate Craigslist, but I've used it before. But just know that, like, we don't want to build stuff like this, okay? Until you guys are really pro, and like you don't need to prove yourself anymore, you need to spend more time making it look more beautiful than this. Okay, so yeah, I want you guys to give yourselves a round of applause. That was week 1. You guys combined a lot of skills: HTML, CSS, and big data. Okay, so let's actually do one step that I skipped before I jump in. Can you guys collect as a group and discuss? Try to be like adult about it, and like try to like work as a team to discuss what could have gone better as a team. Did you guys complete all your tasks? The product owner. I remember at the beginning of the sprint, you guys were supposed to write down it does this, A, B, C, D, okay? And did you guys complete it all? You guys just talk about that. What went wrong? What you could have done better, right? Maybe like, oh shit, man, we suck at Git. We need to get someone to come in here and do some training with Git. Because that's actually not an unreasonable thing to ask your company, right? If your job is to do something and you don't have a skill, it's okay to tell your boss, like, look, man, I don't think the team knows this well enough. We need to have like a speaker come in and do a workshop or some training so we can all understand what the fuck we're doing. Yeah? Okay, so it's been 5 minutes. You guys talk about that? Yeah.
Cái anh cái tool đó cái structure của một cái mà tool đó sẽ đặt tên nó đặt cái đó em chỉ cần đặt một cái class hay là cái khác thì cũng cần phải dùng trên đó là còn một bài chấm mỏng như này em thấy cái container nói là tất nhiên là cũng có
Which one is like operate on here or is this one?
xem thấy mấy cái web đúng rồi cái chống nó mạnh hơn nó sẽ ngang
Cái đó nó quan trọng với cái cơ nó không phải gì hết.
thật sự là phải theo những người là hàng đầu mà để
The brand is in my
như là mình có cái đó nhưng mà bây giờ hiện tại
See, I'm more like you guys. Okay. This one? Okay.
nó có cái
These
convention
mentions is on the right.
convention
Okay, right, right. Search brand? Okay.
mình bị có cái đó là mình bị có cái
Actually, no, because
cái
probably the code that you said.
hợp với nhau xong rồi
Okay, everybody.
đúng rồi không biết where gọi là
Or should we do it in a terminal?
này cả thứ xương này đúng rồi bài mòn đúng rồi
Oh, you guys are done, right? Yeah. So can you guys share? Cause share with the class so that for everyone to hear like what your thoughts are and other teams and stuff. Can we start over here? What's something that you guys could have done better?
So there are a few things. So mainly is that for next time, if we do a group project, we should have like I said, like a template for the group. So we have like the body as a big container, but we have divided into 4 sections for each person in the group. So each one can go into that and do the code in that one. But at the starting point, we have that one as the main thing, and we start from there. Instead of last time for this project, each one do it independently. So then it took quite a lot of time to like align and remerge or stack each code and section of each person. And the second thing is that we need to unify how to have the naming of the CSS of this different section instead of, because it happened that there was a lot of overlap in terms of naming. So we thought that that's something we could improve on. So two things.
Okay, so what I can take from you guys is that you guys have run into the same problem every single software company in the world has run into. How to consistently name. You guys are only 4 people and you ran into this problem, okay? Airbnb, right? Airbnb released what? What am I looking at here, guys? An open source project that aims to solve this problem. Obviously, this project is not perfect, right? This is not perfect. It does not solve every problem. But just know that these challenges every single company does or has, right? Where like you guys got to figure out what is consistent. Someone just joined. You want them to write code like you, or they're writing something that's just so hard for you to understand. That you guys need to talk about these things regularly. This is a part of the process, a part of the job. Regularly talk with your teammates and discuss what you think they could do differently and why you want them to do this differently. And the objective here is not to win, okay? The objective here is to communicate with your teammates. Like you guys all need to express yourselves. You need to understand what they're saying and what they're thinking. And this is also an opportunity to share your knowledge, right? And for them to share their knowledge. Okay, guys? Okay, so thank you for that feedback. What about our team over here? Sean or Maya or Quinn?
Yeah, I think we just need more practice with GitHub. Just merging files was still confusing and took up a lot of our time, which kind of took away from us styling more of different components and adding some of the components.
So how did you guys how did you do in terms of user stories? Did you guys complete most of what you guys wanted? Not most of it. See, it would be nice right now if we had a README. I didn't see a README on the website to determine, what the objective is. I'm not really sure the scope of what you guys wanted. Right here. So this README could be better.
Oh yeah, so we're trying to make a sustainable fashion.
So I get that, right? I understand you can explain to me right now, but I wish I could read it. I wish this could be documented. Are you gonna explain this to me now, and then 1 week from now when I forget, and then 10 more times for the 10 following teammates that join?
Oh, I don't know if it was supposed to put the descriptions up there.
I specifically remember talking about this extensively, that this is a special file that needs to be filled out correctly.
But if you walk us through how to fill it out correctly?
I remember that I actually demonstrated that. Let's think about this. Did we not make a pull request to our world's greatest to-do app and then add some stuff here? Do you remember this right here? We added some quotes, we added some names, a couple emojis. We added, quick instructions. I want to see this. I forgot to bring my other computer, but like I said, if you guys have applied for a job, right, where they're paying a significant amount of money, just know a bunch of people are applying. And each project has 20, each CV is gonna have 20 links inside of it. It's gonna have a link to a news article or an app to download or a website they built, blah, 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 blah. No one is, the person who's making decisions, the probability of them cloning your repository and then figuring out how to run it so that they can see it is small. It's quite small, I would say. So yes, we do need to do this README. We need to document. That's the job. I want to see photos in each one of them, and most impressively, I would like to see you guys build use some GIFs. use this a tool called LiceCap. Can you guys all look at this right now? I want you guys to all find this and download it. It's a free download, doesn't cost any money.
Yeah, I do remember going over it. I forgot to do that reading though. I think it would be helpful if, like, in the assignment, like, on the page, I have like a list of the objectives that need to be in the assignment.
Exactly. Okay. So yeah. My bad. Our bad. Some of them will have it. Okay. This one I didn't personally write these ones. You know. So I think some of them we do. Hold on. Let's think about this. One second. Let's look at Intro to React. The instructions will get better. Let's look at for example, this one, Mega Movies. You guys gonna be building an IMDb clone very soon. People can sort the movies by date, popularity, etc. Here's a more detailed one. But anyway, I just want you guys to know that like you guys should be doing this as a habit.
Yeah. It's not submitting for me either. I'm trying to submit the assignment. It's saying URL.
You're trying to do it on FTW? I gotta talk to the team about that then.
You guys submit through FTW? It went through alright.
Okay, so enough lecturing. We're gonna talk about variables and data types right now. Okay, guys. A couple minutes ago, we talked about variables, and I told you that I like to think of it as a container, something that holds something, right? So, for example, days. 7. What's something that holds 7 days? I don't know, a week? 7 days? So notice that the 7 is just going into the days right here. This number 7 is moving onto the truck days. So this is how we write that code. Let days equals 7. Well, this is how we write that code in JavaScript. A variable can be thought of like a bucket. It can hold something. What's our buckets holding, guys? Cats, fruits, shrimp, I think it is. I think it's a shrimp. Maybe a dog, right? These buckets can also have names. For example, animal, this is the dog. Color is black. Age is 3. Is hungry is true. These are called data types, guys. And data types are just many different kinds. I personally think of the word data types as different types of fruit. Okay? We cannot eat all our fruit the same. We cannot bite into an orange. Maybe we could, but we'd probably be very unhappy. Yeah, don't want to do that. You can bite into an apple though, or a strawberry, no problem, but you cannot bite into an orange. And with the watermelon, you need a knife. I could peel this with my hands, but with my watermelon, I have to have a knife. With a pineapple, I have to have a knife. So here on the right, this is the different type of fruit that we can have. It's going to be seem really abstract, so you guys are going to need to see examples. And I'm going to show you examples in just a moment. These are the most basic types of data that we can have in programming. Numbers, strings, booleans, and more complex such as array and objects. There are many, many other different types. These are just the basics. A program cannot be built without these. And you guys are going to become familiar with these in the next week. You guys have to get familiar with this. This is one of the most fundamental things about programming. So, we're going to be starting small with the most commonly used utility functions that use basic data types. So right here, you guys can see a console.log. Oops. You guys can see console.log, and then these parentheses. You guys see the parentheses on the outside? Parentheses? Yeah, parentheses on the outside, and then a quote. Quote with words inside of it. And this is a hello world. Does anyone here know what hello world is in programming?
First thing, so.
Yes. Hello world is a tradition of all programmers that the first program you write in a new language, it says hello world. That's all it does. We need to see that this thing says hello world, okay? In a couple of minutes, you guys are You guys are gonna write your first JavaScript program. Who here has never written JavaScript before?
I mean, I copy and paste this in JavaScript.
Okay, it's cool. All right, sweet. Yeah. So and in just a minute, we're about to write this. We're gonna write our first program. It has some other concepts such as if else. If Lloyd is cool, invite him out for dinner. If student is hungry, work really hard. Right? This is very simple. You guys understand this regardless of whether or not you guys are programming. We're just going to figure out how to do this in programming. If something is true, do something. Else, do something different. Very simple. If the person's under 18, don't let them in. If they're above 18, let them in. And we can express all types of ideas with this, right? How many different things can we type in here? An infinite number of things. And we can nest them. So this is called conditional logic. We're going to have our code branch out based on conditions. Our code will do different things based on conditions. The third and probably most important concept that we're going to learn this week is functions. Functions are basically like the hamburger machine we saw earlier. It's how can we put something in and get something out. Remember the hamburger machine, guys? What did we put into the hamburger machine? Meat, bread, vegetables, and then at the end of the line of the process, what did it spit out to us? And that's the problem that a function is going to solve. Okay? A function is a series of instructions that do something. Okay? Just like the hamburger machine, it took the bread and it like split it and then put a piece of meat in and then put some ketchup or whatever and then put the bread on top. So we're gonna write some in just a minute. Okay, here's a couple more keywords, guys. I'm sorry, man. Pretty much just think about it this way. Every single day we're gonna learn some new keywords. Okay, every single day we're gonna learn something new. Functions have what we call arguments. Arguments. Does anyone here know what an argument is? There's no.
Logical statement.
Say again.
Some kind of logical statement.
It's more specifically, it's data that we pass to the function. We say, hey, here's some data. Use that data. Okay? And the second concept with functions, there's so many of them, and I need to stop naming them. Sorry, I keep doing that. Another thing that's really important about functions is that we have to call them. Okay? We have to say, hey, function. Okay, thank you. Hey, function, I need you to execute. Do you guys see this word right here? Everyone, who here sees this word call? Okay? That's a very important word. We need to call the function. Lastly, we're going to look at console.log. We're going to be using this a lot today. This is one of the most important functions that we have. And with that ends the presentation, or the slides, okay? So you guys see that in our lab today, we're going to be building a currency converter, right? It's just simply going to console log some data for us. And we're going to be using this tool online called REPL. Right here. Do you guys see this? Hold on. You guys all have this open, right? You guys have your lab open today? Right? Obviously, there's always going to be links here if you guys want to read more. If anything I've said was too far or was too fast or anything, there's many different links you guys can play around with it here and experiment. But we're going to be using a REPL today. On lines 3 to 5, guys, we have a function. Functions start off very simple. Let's go ahead and delete everything, actually. Let's just comment it out. Functions start off with the word function. Afterwards, we have to name our function. And we're going to start very, very small. Okay, we're going to make a very useless function. We're going to say hello. Afterwards, after the word function, we name our function. Okay? We name it. For example, what's this function called? Say hello. That's the name of it, right? It also has to have a parentheses afterwards, after the constant key name. And then the body is defined by a opening and closing curly brace. We have to have these. You cannot get any simpler than this, okay? You guys with me so far? Have I lost anyone? Okay? So this function, what are we going to do? We're just going to figure out how to say hello world on the screen. So if I run our application right now, nothing happens, right? I want it to say hello world right here. Do you guys see this little red thing right here? So we can do console.log hello world. If we run it, we can see hello world here. Console.log is a function that someone else wrote for us that just does things magically. And specifically, it prints things to the screen so that we can understand what our data is. We can give console.log many arguments. I know that right now this seems a little bit abstract and you guys may not understand what that means, but just what that means is that we can pass two different things to this. You guys see what I'm doing on line 14? You guys can see that.
Like console log will show something, but it might not just be the message you type. It can go and find information and display it.
No, what I'm trying to say is it can do many different words right here. Hello is one argument, right? It's one piece of data that we pass console.log. Here is another piece of data. It's separated and indicated by this comma right here.
Is it always just data that you type within those parentheses though?
No, it's gonna be variables. And actually, sometimes it will. Actually, I take that back. Yes, it will be data that we type because we need to understand what our data says. So right now, this is a contrived example. Like you may not see how this is useful yet, but I'm going to show you in just a second how it's useful. So right now, I did console.log. I passed it one argument. No, I passed it two arguments. One is hello. The other one is world. So if I click play now, we can observe we see the same behavior, right? Okay, so that's not really that interesting. Okay. How can this be useful? What if I wanted my program to say hello Sean, for example, right? I could just type in Sean right there. I hit play, it says hello Sean. But what if I also wanted to say hello Mai? And then hello Tien, and then I don't know, Feng. Okay? Would this work? It does in fact work. I programmed this computer that said hello to some students in our class. But what are some of the problems here, guys? Yeah, that's one problem. That's a problem. So we can actually run some function. We can write some code that will do that, right? But that's not the objective here. The objective here is to know that like we wrote this code, the same code many times. How many students could we potentially have? We potentially have 30, 40, 50. And if we write this code the same time over and over again, it becomes very brittle. It breaks. Okay? So, what is that? How is this knowledge useful to us, right? So now we're going to go back to what we talked about a second ago with passing arguments and writing functions that are programs that constantly do the same thing over and over. So just a moment ago, you guys saw me define a function called say hello. Inside these parentheses, we can make our function take arguments. Right now, it takes 0 arguments. But if I write in a variable right here, this is a variable. Let's just say name. When this function is called, it expects to have an argument passed to it. And if we do not pass an argument to it, it's not going to behave the way we want it to. And I know that seems weird, so I'm going to show you what I'm saying. So let's just say we console.log inside of our say hello. And we say hello, and we give it a name. Oops. Man, I keep hating the way this is wrapping. Hello name. If I run it now, I won't see anything. I run it, and we do not see anything. The reason why we do not see anything is because we have not yet called it. Exactly. We've defined the function. Here's the function. This is where we said, hey, this is what it looks like. This is the function's signature. That's actually the keyword you're looking for. This is the function's signature. It says the name is say hello, the argument is name, etc. But we need to get this code on line 10 to execute. How can we get this code to execute? Well, we need to call the function. So if I call it now, I type in the name, and then I give it the parentheses, we will in fact see a console.log right here. It'll say hello, and then nothing. So let's test it. Oh my bad, hello undefined, right? And undefined here is an indicator that when we called say hello, we did not pass it this name on line 9. Okay? Are you guys all with me? Are you guys with me? Say something. Yeah?
Still
Yeah?
undefined because you have the name there. If you didn't put that there, it'd say just hello, nothing.
Exactly. So, but the thing is, we don't want undefined here, and we don't want to remove name. We want to solve the problem that we had earlier, where I wanted to say hello to every single person in the class without typing console.log a bunch of times, right? So our solution here is to pass our say hello function its argument, name. And how can we do that? On line 14, when we call our function, we can pass it the argument inside of the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, okay? So, you can see it right here. It's this is the argument. We could potentially give it many arguments. Okay? It's an important thing to think about as well. But for right now, we're going to use one argument as a contrived example. So, I'm going to pass it the name Sean. So when we call say hello, Sean on line 14, this string right here, is passed to say hello on line 9. And then Sean goes into this variable right here called name. And then when that happens, line 10 executes. The console.log fires, hello is printed to the screen, concatenated with the word name. So we'll run it and we'll see hello Sean. Okay, so we got a console log. Sweet. How was this useful? Remember what we originally did, guys? We wrote console log a bunch of times, remember? So this is now where we pass the argument. We change the argument for each function call. So if we run it. Oh, my bad. Yeah. Okay, so you guys can see here that our code actually looks much cleaner, okay? We called a function, say hello, and we passed it a different argument on each line. On line 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We called the exact same function, we passed it a different argument. This argument was used in the body. I want you guys to, every single word is important. Every single thing I'm saying is important, okay? From the beginning to the end of this parentheses, that's called the body of the function. And what we're doing on line 9 through 11, we're defining the function. We're saying, hey, this is a function called say hello. I need you to know what this does. We're gonna write a shit ton of different functions, okay? The objective of this class, if there's one design pattern I want you guys to learn from me personally, or just for your careers in general, is that I want you guys to learn how to write a bunch of little functions. This is how you guys are gonna get paid money, a lot of money, right here. If you guys know how to write these things, these functions right here, you know how to pass them many arguments, you know how to give them good names. Okay, this is one crucial skill. Yeah. Okay.
So wait. Function is the blue one, and then what's the purple thing?
This is the name of the function. What line are you talking about?
Yeah, the purple is the name of
Yeah.
the function.
Yeah, this is the name of the function, and we're calling it on lines 13 through 17.
Okay, and then on line 10 it says console log.
Okay?
What kind of purpose does that serve?
To show me what my data says.
Okay, so the log, or what? Do you need to? What do you use this stuff for? Do you know?
We're using the console log to see what is on the screen, to see our data. Because the computer isn't going to tell us what the data is, it needs to show it on the screen. The computer is not going to send us a mail, it's not going to write us a letter and say, hey, on line 14, inside your variable, on line 10 right here, on line name, on line 10, in the variable name is the word Sean. It's not going to send us an email. It's not going to mail us a letter. It's not going to have a courier coming over here. We have to explicitly tell our computer, show me what is inside this variable. And we can do this anywhere. We don't need to do this in a function, right? Let's just say I have a variable, const student, right? We'll say the student is my from Sweden, right? Okay. How do I know what's inside a student? Okay. Let's just pretend I have like a million lines of code right here. Okay. I don't want to write a million lines of code because I don't want to console. I don't want to make this noisy. But how do I know what's inside of student? How do I know? I need to console log it. Okay? Now I want each and every one of you guys, from now on, for the rest of the class, when you guys are looking, when you're programming, if you guys want me to come over and help you, I want you guys to already have a console log written somewhere and saying this data is not what I want it to be. I don't expect it to be this. So we should always have a console log. So I'm going to do console.log. Superman likes red. And then I'm going to, and then the second argument to our console.log is going to be the variable that we need to inspect. So if we run this now, we can see that Superman likes red is console logged on line 23, right? And then the second argument to this call to the console.log function is student. And what is student? It's my from Sweden. So the objective of console.log is to look at our data because we're not always going to be able to see it. We need to tell our computer to show it. So let's delete this before we get too distracted. I just want you guys to know that we can write many different types of functions. Say hello is a very contrived example, okay? Very contrived example. I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to write a couple more functions just to show you how easy it is to write a function.
What would happen if you just did say hello and then you did Sean in parentheses and then next to that you did my instead of Sean?
You mean, so like this right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm about to show you that right now, okay? So, right here, fine. We'll just do it right now. Oh, my bad. Nothingness. We didn't pass it. We didn't use it right here. Right here, we did not grab this argument off of this argument from the function call. So now we need to have another argument here. We need to say second name, right? So let's go ahead and console log this. We save it, we run it, and we see that say hello can in fact take two different functions. Do you guys see what happened right there?
Can we type something else instead of say hello?
Yeah. What do you want to say? What do you want to call this function?
I don't know.
What do you want it to do? So the objective here is when you guys, this is also a very important skill, right? What I'm about to tell you guys, right? Choosing an appropriate name for a function is a very difficult thing, but you guys need to think about it very well and do that very well. I'm showing you to say hello because it's like this is, we cannot get simpler than this. I'm going to show you a more complicated example in just a second, okay? So just know that this function right now, I don't need it to do anything fancy. I just need it to say hello, and I need it to take an argument. On line 11, I need to take this Sean and do something with this data, okay? Every single website in the world is consisting of a bunch of data. That's all it is. And I want you guys to know that these functions that we write are going to handle this data and do certain things with it, right? So it's, like any single website, slick deals. Here's some data, right? What's this data right here? It's a bunch of things that are for sale, right? They got a title, they get an image, they got a price, they got a discounted price, they get the number of people that have liked it. It's a bunch of data, and it's showing it in beautiful ways. I don't understand what you're telling me right now. You want
line 11 it says Sean and then mine.
Correct. Okay.
So the way that ran through the argument it says hello Sean I.
Yeah. So okay, I'm with you, man. Like so you're trying to do what we're doing. Going to be doing 2 or 3 days. I need like right now what you're talking about is an array. You want an array. This is going to happen, right? So let's start small right now. Let's just start small and we'll do it this way right now, and then we're going to do that. Okay, so the basic concept is we can define a function. Our function can take some data. Right now, on line 7, it took this one piece of data, it took another piece of data. And then it used this piece of data inside of its body. That's a very simple example, okay? So now let's use a more complicated example of something that you guys are actually going to do, okay? So let's just say, let's define a new function called describe student, right? It's gonna take a name, an age, a home country, or a nationality. That's 3 pieces of data, okay? We went from 1 to 2 to 3, okay? So now we're gonna say console.log, my name is name. Then we're gonna do a console.log, my age is age. Do one more, console.log, my nationality is nationality. Does it look good? Okay, so guys, what if I wanted this to say my name is Loy, my age is 32, my nationality is Vietnamese? Can someone help me do this? What can I do? I want to see this on the right. I need to do what now, guys?
Use parentheses first.
I need to call the function, okay, with the parentheses. What do I need to do now, guys?
Quotation, line,
Loy.
comma. No, comma behind the quotation.
Okay, thank you. I did that I'm wrong on purpose. 32.
Oh yeah, happy birthday. It's your birthday today, right?
Yes, thank you. I'm getting old. I'm sitting here. My life is horrible. I'm hanging out with you guys on my birthday. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. I like you guys. Okay, so we can see that we called this function, guys. On line 27, we simply called the function that we defined on line 20. Okay, and then this function, we passed it some data. We passed it 3 different arguments. 3 different arguments. One was Loy, one was 32, one was USA. So if we run it now, we're going to see that this worked correctly, right? This is the expectation. So we can define a function that can do anything, right? So this is just a couple stupid functions for fun. So now we're going to do a function called add. And guess what it's going to do? It's going to add 2 numbers. Do first number, second number. Okay? And then we're going to say console.log, first number plus second number. So now how can I prove that this function works correctly, guys? What should I do now?
Add, call.
I need to call it, okay? I want you guys to constantly be thinking about how you can prove what the code that you wrote does, okay? You guys need to prove it. Not to me, not to Charles, not to Code School, but to yourselves. Okay, you guys think in your head, you think you understand what it does, but I guarantee you're not going to, right? It's not because you're not smart. It's because you guys constantly need to be testing your functions and how they behave. Oh, I wrote it this way. I think this is what it does, right? But you cannot prove it without calling it. So we're going to prove it. We're going to call it. We're going to pass it 5 and 5, guys. Right? What do you guys think this? What am I going to see console logs? So let's play it. We can in fact do that. Right? It's 10 right here, right? Think about this add function here, Maya. This is a function that we defined. The name of this function is called add. This function takes how many arguments?
2.
It takes 2 arguments. One of them we said is the word first number. That's the variable. The second one is second number. Oh, my bad. Second number. Let's run it to confirm. Okay, my bad. Okay, so that works, right? And the reason, why do we call it add? That's what the function is doing, exactly. The function is simply adding 2 numbers, right?
It's just straightforward. Like you just give it, you keep it as simple as possible, and then
Guess what we're gonna do right here? To be more consistent with the name of the function, what should we be doing on line 35?
Change the add sign.
Yeah, we do that. Like this seems very simple,
The
but
sign that's doing it or the name?
so this right here is actually the mathematical calculation. This is JavaScript right here. Right?
So even if you wrote function add, but you have that.
So let's do 1 plus 1 is 2, right? 5 times 2 is 10. Right? This is just simple math, right?
So the name's just so we keep it clear.
Exactly.
Just
You
change the functionality.
exactly. We could call it whatever we want. So watch this, right? We could do this. Did I just close that? That really okay? No. I could call this subtract if I wanted.
Inside the parentheses, though, the first number and second number, those.
You can call that whatever you want as well. But you guys need to name it something that's like clear. Like like you guys right now it seems very simple. You guys have 1, 2, 3, 4 functions. But when you find a real project that has 500 lines and you have 40 functions inside of it, it's gonna get quite confusing. What does what? Okay? So give it reasonable names and also give it really long names. I've written a function that was 50 characters long, and that's okay. No one fired me, right? Because I was explicit in what the function was doing. Okay, log Firebase events to Google Analytics. That was the name of my function. Let's see how long this is. Log Firebase events to Google Analytics. No problem. Okay, and so longest iOS Objective-C names. This is what people at Apple, this is how they name their variables and their functions. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys see how long these are. Look how long this is. This is real. This is a good practice. If you want to be pro as fuck, you're gonna write some long ass function names. These are all function names. Look how many characters that is. Okay. If you want to work at Apple, the world's arguably best tech company that has embedded systems. They're building all types of cool shit at Apple. You can write functions that look like this. And why? Because a function it's so much better that it's clear on what it does than it's short. Okay. Like for example, like a real project, if it has a whole bunch of files in here, right? I want to do Command Shift F and just type and just copy and paste over the name of the function. I can find it anywhere. Okay? I'm sure that you guys probably have like, for example, we were looking over here. We're like, oh man, here's a logo class. I wonder where that's defined. We've got what? 10 different style sheets, right? Okay, my bad. This is the wrong group. So for example, let's look at this one. Container S2, right? Oh, we've got potentially 5 different style sheets, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know which style sheet it is, right? So I want to copy this thing right here, do Command Shift F, paste, and I can quickly find where it's defined. And that is so much easier with really long function names, okay? So don't be scared to type extra, okay, guys? Don't be scared to type extra. Just look how long these functions are. It's fucking crazy. Okay, so let's get back to it. Let's stay on point. The name of the function is not important, but you should name it according to what it does. A subtract function on line 30 should not be adding, right? This doesn't make sense. I call subtract on line 40. I give it 5 and 5. I expect to see 0. Why am I seeing 10? Oh, because I named this wrong, right? And let's just do multiply. Remember what multiply does, guys? It takes one number and it multiplies it times the second number. Let's confirm that this works. 10, 2, okay? We're gonna do it again. And the objective here, guys, remember, the objective here is so that we can write code one time and it does the same thing over and over and over again. The hamburger machine, okay? I could potentially just write the console log like I initially did, right? But I want to define functions that can do this for me. So let's play it. Say again?
That's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's
Neither
multiply.
My bad. I typo like crazy, guys. There we go. What's multiply? What's 10 times 2? Okay, that looks good. What's 5 times 10? Okay, so it seems as if this is working, right? Do I have any questions so far? Have I lost anyone?
I'd like to try some of this stuff.
We're going to try it in just a moment. Yeah, you're going to.
Capital N in the second number, does that matter? Can I use lowercase?
So this is called camel case here, guys. And no, you have to make this capital. Okay? Or not have to. No one's gonna put a gun to your head. But look, if you go to Airbnb, if you look at their style guide, and you want to work at Airbnb, and we make like $250,000 a year or whatever. What?
Yeah. There's no.
Motherfucker. Okay, guys. in just a moment, I already have this tool installed. I want you guys to install this later, okay? It's called a Quoku. It's a plugin, right? We can just type JavaScript in here. That's cool too. Okay, so let's not get the lectures.
How are we setting this up in VS Code? We just install the JavaScript thing?
No, just you guys are just gonna click this button right here when we get internet back, right here, and then we're gonna install this tool, this plugin called Quoku. Okay, so I can do the same thing here. I can do console.log, but what's really awesome is that it tells me what's going on here. Okay, so hello, so I can do hello world, and it's going to tell me in blue what the value is, right? You guys can't download it right now because we don't have internet. So what if we did 1 + 1? Why isn't this working? So you can see that this expression worked correctly. That's why we're not throwing a flag, right? But what if I did console.log hi? Who? What's it saying right here, guys? In red. So what's who? Yes. Quoku. Quoku. I don't know how to pronounce this. I don't know how to say that. I don't know how to say it. I really don't know. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Okay, maybe just open up your browser. You guys can practice here inside this Chrome console as well. 5 × 5, some shit like that. Okay. So anyway, so what have we been doing, guys? What have we been doing? We've just been writing some functions, right? Right. Let's not move too quickly. Just know that it's gonna get way more complicated very quickly. Okay. We haven't even done anything really complicated yet. Okay. So we're writing some functions. Can someone help me out, please? I've been talking a lot. Someone tell me some of the things that we talked about. Let's review. Tell me anything about a function that we know. Okay, so functions will take arguments. How many arguments can they take? Yes, an infinite number of arguments. In order to test our functions, what should we do? Yes, we want to console log the data that they have. Also, we need to call the function, right? If we do not call our functions will never ever execute. We need to call them. It's a very important thing.
Calling a function, that means listing data.
So this is what calling a function is. Let's make this as simple as we can, actually. Sometimes I get a little bit ahead of myself. I'm sorry. So let's just define one more function. We'll say function, list animals, right? This function is going to take 0 arguments, which we can simply call it, right? What are we going to do in here? Which is in console.log lion. Okay, we're in console.log monkey. We're in console.log my. Okay? Now, if I run this, we don't see my with her friends, right? How can we get this code to run on line 8, 9, and 10, guys? How? We need to call the function, list animals. But if I just name the function right here, right, and I click play, we still don't see it. This is what we call a reference. This is a pointer. It says, hey, I understand what list animals is. I get that. I know what that is. Okay? But if we want the code inside of list animals to execute, we need to give it parentheses. Okay? And that is saying call the function. So if you guys see that I put parentheses, I guarantee you'll see Maya and all her friends up there. Okay? We hit play, and we see, look, we got it right there. See, look at mine. Okay, guys. So look, what do we have here, guys? We have a function that we defined called list animals. We called the function. What does this function do, Sean? List a bunch of animals. Okay? And notice that this function didn't take any arguments. Okay? We could easily make this take arguments. But right now, we don't want to get too complicated, guys. Just keep it simple. I want you guys to be able to write like 20 different types of functions. 1,000 different types of functions. This is how every single program is built. It's just using combinations of functions and passing data back and forth and etc. And one day you guys are going to have a bunch of functions and, and I keep harping, okay? Let's just move forward. So now we're going to do one other, we're going to do the lab now, okay? I'm going to do the lab real quickly for you guys. So what does the function do? Okay? The objective of this lab is to create a function which will convert currency. Yeah. So I'm going to uncomment what we have. The function is called what? VND to USD. What is it going to take, guys? Okay, it's going to take an amount. So how can I get this function to execute, guys? We need to call it. So I do console.log, or my bad, BND to USD, and I say, let's just give it 23,000 Vietnam dong. How much money is that in USD, guys? $1, right? If I hit play, I got a 0 right here. So you guys can see this new keyword return, right? Return. This actually completely forgot to talk about this. My bad. Return is also a very, 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 very important keyword. Okay, it's also a very important concept. So a function, when you call a function, 99% of the time, we want some data from that function. We want to give it some data, and then we want it to give us back some data, right? Not right, but like, okay, just bear with me, trust me on this one, okay? I call this function BND to USD. I want something back. I call BND to USD with 23,000. What should I expect to have the answer? 1, right? So whatever gets returned right here within our body, whenever a return is called, just know that whatever is returned shows up in the place that we called the function. What the fuck does that mean? Okay, so watch this. It's going to show up here. Okay, on line 7, what are we doing, guys? We're calling a function. We want something back from it. Okay, whatever comes back from that is going to show up on line 7. Okay, so I'm going to prove that to you. I'm going to do console.log. I'm going to wrap. Oh, my bad. Fuck. BND. I'm going to wrap our function call with a 23,000. Okay, so all we're doing is console.logging what is returned from our BND to USD function call. What's going to be returned from here, guys? 0. So let's run it. And we can see that we did in fact just get a 0 back. Right? Okay? So does that make sense, guys? If we say, hey, I need you to convert 23,000 to to USD, should we get back a 0? No, we should not. We should be getting something else back, guys. Should we get back the color blue? No, that doesn't make sense. The objective here is to write a function that takes a arbitrary number, any number that a user takes, and then converts that to USD, right? So just know that return on line 4, what it does is it's saying, hey, whatever you tell me to return, I'm going to put that back into the place that we call this function. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? Watch this. I'm going to do this a bunch of times. And we're going to see that blue gets returned a bunch of times. Right? Because we called this in a bunch of different places. Is that clear, everyone? So remember right now, like I just did this as a contrived example. You guys are going to need to return all types of stuff one day. You're going to say student. Right? Blah, blah, blah. It's just to prove a concept of what return does. So the objective here is to take a argument that's passed to our function call Vietnam dong to USD, perform some calculations on it, and then return it. Very simple. So all we got to do is just do amount of Vietnam dong divided by the exchange rate. Okay? So, do you guys expect to see the right number right here? Hold on. Exactly, it's still student. So what can we do now? Okay, so if we remove student, what do we do now? Now we need to store this. We need to store this calculation, converted value, in a variable. I'm going to call it converted variable. I'm going to make it a constant, and then need to return this variable. Oops. Come on. And this will work. So I hit play, and we can see that 23,000 is almost 1 USD. And what's really special about this, that we've now learned how to use functions, is that now we can call this multiple times, right? Uh, 2.3. So now if we run it, we can figure out a conversion for a lot of different things, right? A lot of different types of money, right? So 23,000 is equivalent to 1 USD. 100,000 is 4.3. 1 million is 43, and 2.3 million is almost 100 USD. Okay, and the objective here, guys, is like we wanted to write a function that could take an arbitrary value, right? In this case, a number, perform the same repetitive logic on it again, and then give us that data back, right? So line 5, remember that's the hamburger machine giving us the hamburger. Okay, if it builds a beautiful hamburger and it just throws it on the ground, right? It's useless. It needs to give us back that hamburger, right? And right here, these numbers on line 8, 9, 10, 11, these are the ingredients that we give the hamburger machine. And it does some shit with that. It does some shit with those ingredients, and it gives us what we want, okay? This is what we want. We want the converted value. This is the final product. Do I have any questions?
What's the line 1 again? Const? What does that stand for?
Const means constant. This is a value that will never change, right? You can treat this as like in JavaScript, we have to declare our variables. This is what we call a variable declaration. Okay, there's so many keywords in programming, guys. Sometimes I forget which one means what, to be honest with you. Okay, I'm pretty sure on line 1 that's called a variable declaration. And then on line, and the reason why we say const right here is because this value will never change. Obviously, in real life it does change, right? But just know right now we should be using constant. And later on you're going to see a couple other ones. Let is for variables that can change. And var is for old variables. Not old variables, my bad. It's how for JavaScript used to be written years ago, right? JavaScript's been around for like 20-something years now, guys. Like, but JavaScript is changing. Are you guys the same people you were 20 years ago? No. JavaScript is the same way. Okay, JavaScript is always changing. You guys are only ever going to use let or constant. Okay, I only want you guys to use these ones. What is something that's constant, guys? Yes. Pi will always be 3.4. I don't give a shit who you talk to. Unless that person does not know what they're talking about, they're going to say 3.4. Okay? What's another number that always stays the same, guys? 60 minutes an hour. Okay, so we say const. Minutes in an hour is 60. Yeah, that makes sense. So what's a value that can change? Right? Next year this can change, maybe. Yes, that's a basic walkthrough of functions. Do I have any questions, guys? Yes.
So for real example, so when you want to call the function, I saw you put for example, nano to USD, and then you give the value for that function, and then for console log, I think that the command that to show the result on the screen. But in this one, to call the function, you use the console log.
Well, the reason why I'm console logging here because I just because I wanted to show you what that right here, whatever is in converted value is eventually going to go to whatever it's called. Okay? Because that's useful what? Because this is eventually what you're going to do. You're going to say const right here, like the value the user gave us equals, right? It's going to come here, right? And then you're going to do something else with it. Watch this. Okay? You say prompts. Hey, bud. The converted value was this right here. Okay? So watch this. Watch what's going to happen now. So if I run it, it gave us that. It showed up right here. Right? Just know that whenever we call the function right here on line 8, right, you almost always call it, get some data, and put it in a different variable. And then you're going to use that variable somewhere else. That's all we're doing. We're getting some data, we're passing it back and forth, and we're using it in different places. That same data, like for example, I was thinking about this some last night, right? I know what my birthday is, right? Guess who else also needs to know what my birthday is? The US government needs to know what my birthday is, right? My company needs to know what my birthday is, right? Any company I apply to also needs to know my birthday, right? There's certain pieces of data that are like, it's not private data. It's actually a keyword I'm looking for, private. Okay, certain things that are called private data that should not be shared. But there are other pieces of data that all parts of your application need to know this data. So you're going to be constantly passing it back and forth, right? Because remember, the end goal right here on line 11, or the end goal, it was to say, hey man, this is how much the value was, right? So you guys can see if I run it once again, that value ends up getting right here. Okay, and that's where we want it. We want it to be somewhere where the user can see it. They don't need to see a console log. Your user will never ever open up their console log to use your application. When's the last time that you guys went to Facebook.com and instead of motherfucker, whatever, okay, so is that answer your question?
Yeah, and I still have one more.
Okay.
So instead of using return, can I use the console log right there?
Well, so yes, you can. Right, you can in order to prove what data that you have, but that's what I was trying to say. Do you see on line 8 right here? 99.99% of the time, when you call a function, you want some data back. Okay, you call the function with this data, right, and you say, okay, what's it going to give me? Like I need something data back from that. The hamburger machine, we're not going to forever put meat in there. Okay, we're not going to go to the store every single day and put meat into the hamburger machine and pay 100, 200,000, and to just throw away money. We want it to give us something back. So almost all our functions are that way. Obviously, remember the one that we did where we didn't do that? Remember list animals? We may not always return. We may not always return something, but like you're probably going to. Okay? You're probably going to. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Come on, guys, help me out here. Give me some questions. Okay, you guys read the instructions. You guys will figure it out. Please let me have that been recording. Dude, there's something wrong with this, man.